Hello everybody, welcome back to Sharon from Vivid Days. I'm so excited to be sharing this video with you. This is about shoaling or schooling fish in the ocean. This is a very long project, so I've cut quite a bit out, but I haven't devalued you seeing the full process. I wanted to capture the essence of those fish swimming in that beautiful circle in the depths of the ocean. I wanted to create movement, depth. So this is a mixed media project. I had a 50 centimeter, should I say 30 centimeter MDF board, which I'd primed. And I'm now applying a base coat of 3 different colors of blues. You can choose whichever blues you have in your cupboard and white. I wanted to keep my brush strokes fairly loose. Now, this is an optional step. You don't have to do this. I find with the resin pigments I use, because they're transparent, each layer and each process that you add helps with the depth. With acrylics, they dry fairly easily, so you could come back in an hour and make sure that it's fully dried. I've made sure that my MDF board is level, and those are the colours that I use to create the first layer of my ocean. So I applied just enough resin to cover the board with a very thin coat. I use the same colours that I used on painting the board at the bottom, and I'm just going around in circles, no rhyme or reason. I just wanted there to be different tones of that turquoise or blue going around the board, and I'm just using my fingers to spread out the resin, trying not to blend it all together too much, but making sure it is everywhere. Apologies, you didn't see me apply my casting craft. I just applied some in loosely because I wanted to look like the ocean's churning underneath. So that layer had dried, and because I'm working on the next layer within 48 hours, I could apply my second coat of resin, which is what I'm doing now. Again, checking my board is level, using the same tones, but trying to put the colours in different areas so you're seeing those different tones coming through. If I hadn't worked on my resin within a couple of days, I would have lightly sanded this area. But the joys is I could apply it straight away because it was only 48 hours. Now you'll see me apply my casting craft. This is what I did on the first layer. You can choose not to do this. Each stage is optional. It's a personal preference. I just find when I build it up slowly, it's going to help create that sense of movement. And as I put my fish around it, it's going to help with the illusion that they would have been splashing around a little bit. My heat gun is being used quite lightly, moving it around, just trying to blend some of that white into those pigments. Using my blowtorch to remove any bubbles, and then I let it cure. And this is where it's a labour of love. I use 3 different size brushes, and I'm starting just creating the first layer. Now I put a movie on, I think it was Harry Potter, and I was just watching Harry Potter in the background whilst I painted my fish. I keep moving my board around to help me with the painting. And that really just helps with, for me, for the perspective. It gives me that opportunity to stand back and have a look at the creation and make sure that I'm happy with it. I do bring you in slightly closer as it gets a little bit more interesting, just so you can see what it is I'm doing. Now don't worry, these don't have to look like perfect fish at the moment. What I'm trying to do though is work with smaller ones and go bigger, get the composition right, and then what you'll see is I'll go over this multiple times with each layer of resin and graduating from black to greys to silver. And you'll find that you get a little bit quicker. I just keep moving my fish in different direction, and once I'm happy that I've got it fairly central, you'll see me come in and add those different tones, which I've done now, and that helps with that illusion of multiple layers of fish. It gives you that 3D movement. Now again, I'm not going for the detail, I'm just going for the illusion of the fish in the different tones and the light catching it in different angles, and also the size of them, because I come in with 2 more layers of resin and I have to go over some of these fish. Not all of them, because these will still come through when I apply the next layer of resin. But I want there to be enough that as I work on the layers, add the casting craft, I'm not going to hide the fish, but I am going to blend the fish in with some of those little bits of foam. And this is basically the full process. When I get to the very final layer, you'll find that rather than just doing one tone in fish, whether that be one black one, one grey one silver one, you'll find that I take the time on the very last layer. And the very last layer is I'll go in with a thicker brush to do it black. I'll come in with a medium-sized brush then and do it grey. And then I'll come back with a very light grey or a little bit of white. And the reason I do that, it helps give the illusion that you've got the side of the fish and the top of the fish, and it looks more realistic and helps trick the brain more. And you'll see that when I bring it very close in the last layer, which is the most important one. But each time you add a layer of resin to this, you'll find that some of those fish, they don't disappear. You can see them all, but then you can apply some more of the same size fish or style fish on the next layer, which all helps with depth. It all helps with that illusion. And you have to work on the balance that you're happy with. So using the same colors, but this time I've reduced it to just the green blue, the casting craft. And this is where sometimes you can overwork it, but what's the worst that can happen? You have to paint some more acrylic fish over the top of it. So as you can see, you can still see all the fish all the way down. You can see that it does add that green look to it. And then as I go and add the casting craft, it's covering some fish, not all of them. When you see this particular part cured and dry, that's the part that I probably didn't like, where I'd added the casting craft as much, because it was quite a prominent line and I like it to be softened and blended out. However, it didn't ruin the project because it all added to value. And as I get to the very top layer, I don't need too much white on there because of what is built up from the layers below it. Helps with that sense of movement, because I didn't want to lose my fish. I wanted them to be the hero, but I still wanted it to look like there was movement in the ocean. I wanted that helicopter view. And when you're looking down on some of these beautiful areas of the ocean from that aerial view, you don't actually see too much white foam in most areas. But you'll see what I mean. And so we just do this dance with resin, which is a layer of resin. Add your fish. If I'd have, could I have reduced the layers? Possibly by one layer, but you have to keep going until you're really happy with it. And you know what? Everything added value to it. It didn't take anything away, and the end result is where I wanted to be. And so you have to be willing to do the dance with the resin gods. You see me just clearing out some of the dust particles before it all settles, and then we're rinsing and repeating. And this is the layer that I'm talking about, where I just didn't like those single obvious lines that was going through the middle. But when I go and add my layer of fish, as you can see, just moving the brush at different angles to make it look like there is a different motion of fish. The very end layer of fish, you'll see that I come in and I close the gap between the fishes, and it made it look to me more juicier, beefier. I don't know, it just brought it all together. I think aesthetically more pleasing, but you can still see the depth in the fish. But I'm Sharon, I'm digressing. I've just talked for a lot of time. I think now I've talked out loud, you understand what I'm trying to do, which is find that balance and just have fun. Stick a Harry Potter on or something like that and watch it. But it is a labour of love, but it is so worth it. If you are new to my channel, thank you for watching my video. Consider giving me a thumbs up, subscribe, like. I think like is a thumbs up. Share, comments are always welcome. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you to each and every one of you that have been giving me ongoing support for the last few years. especially the patience with me while I've not been putting much content out there. I am recovering well. The gift of being able to just sit at home and edit these videos has been worthwhile, and while I'm editing my videos, my body is recovering, and then I should be able to get into the art studio creating new content for you all soon, and I will try and get more content out more regularly. But see you on the next video. Thank you so much wherever you are in the world. Hope you are safe, hope you are well, and I hope you have time to create. Other than that, see you on the next video. Bye bye.